Welcome to Sterling Visionary Voices, the podcast dedicated to bringing you diverse, innovative leadership insights and actionable strategies for success. Join hosts Laura McNeil and Bob Medeiros as they explore the art and science of role model leadership through thought-provoking conversations with real professionals. Whether you're a seasoned leader or aspiring to excellence, Sterling Visionary Voices is your guide to navigating the complexities of your leadership journey.
Hello and welcome to Sterling Visionary Voices. I'm your host, Bob Medeiros, and it's my pleasure to introduce our guest today, Mr. Roland Martinez. Now, Roland's been serving as the Deputy Director and Organizational Development Director at Florida Department of Health in Broward County since 2008. He is responsible for directing and overseeing the performance excellence, workforce engagement, human resources, business metrics, and information technology sections of the department. Under his watch, the department's been recognized by a number of prestigious organizations, both statewide and nationally, including the Florida Governor Sterling Award, the Robert Wood Johnson Culture of Health Prize, and the National Association of County and City Officials Large Local Health Department of the Year. Roland holds a Bachelor of Science degree with specialization in public administration and is a fellow of the National Leadership Academy for the Public's Health. He currently serves as chairman of the board of directors of the Sterling Council. Roland, it is so nice to have you join us here on Sterling Visionary Voices.
It's great to be here, Bob.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'm really excited to talk with you today about our topic, the Sterling South Florida Summit. So let's just start off. What is the South Florida Summit, and what can we expect from this year's event?
So, the South Florida Summit, kind of put it in a nutshell, is kind of like a mini Sterling conference. I mean, really, honestly, that's what we endeavor to do, is to be able to provide training opportunities for folks who want to engage the Sterling process and want to improve their organizations. And I want to give them an opportunity to be able to do that in something that, in a smaller venue, to be able to maybe provide more people to go there, or to give them an opportunity closer to home, right? We do this in South Florida, and a lot of our folks who participate in the Sterling process are kind of in that South Florida area. It's a lot easier to get to South Florida because of flights and everything else. To be able to give them an opportunity to participate in those in that session. It's a great session. I've been involved with it since before time immemorial. I mean, I've been around the Sterling process since 2002. And it's kind of evolved over the years, but it's always, what I'm always impressed with is that it's always better than it was the last time. There's always really exciting speakers there that come in to kind of give you good insights on quality methodologies and leadership and how to deal with your customer groups better and really how to measure, how do you get that done, how do you figure that stuff out. And so, and give you approaches. And so, we've got really great speakers. I mean, we're really lucky that we have the folks that we have, and that they're interested in the way that they are, and they're committed to be able to provide that learning to the folks out there that want to participate.
Excellent. So let me ask you, who do you think should attend the summit? Are we talking leadership, quality professionals, or rank and file?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The answer is yes. The answer, I think that there's something for everyone. I think that you have leaders that are trying to navigate this world right now with regards to what's going on, and right after the pandemic, and trying to really get their organizations still back on track. We're still, there's a lot of that still going on, that, businesses look backwards to be able to look forward, and some of that's still a little bit skewed. And so trying to, get, some ideas and get some networking and talk to other folks that are kind of dealing with that, other leaders that are kind of dealing with that. So leaders are a good option. Folks that are starting out in the Sterling process and want to know what all this is about. it's a good venue for them to be able to do that. So those managers that you're bringing up in the organization, those mid-level managers, frontline managers that might be doing that. But you may have quality professionals, folks that work in customer service, folks that work with business metrics, people in human resources, that you want to provide a better insight, but provide some learning to be able to, push them along in their careers, make your organizations better. And so there's something for everybody at some level in the organization. So, you really need to look as an organization at what you want to try to accomplish and who are the people that you want to provide that. I mean, that's what we do here at the Health Department, is that I look at folks that have attended in the past. I look at folks that are, doing coaching or working on particular things. And I look at the agenda, for the summit, and I start to reach out to those folks and say, hey, look, why don't you should go to this. I think that's something that you should do. And, just providing the resources to be able to make. So that's that's kind of who I think should go. I mean, that's kind of an everything answer, but it's kind of an everything answer.
There you go.
So,
and I think I like the model that you follow and using it as a development opportunity for folks within your organization. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think if I had to say, what it's really meant as is just like the Sterling Conference, and that happens, at the end of May, the beginning of June every year, a much larger scale. But, that's really what it is a learning opportunity for organizations to be able to go to and get a lot of things. We have 9 concurrent sessions that we're having, 9 sessions that are being offered at this. So, where are you going to go that you can look at 9 different topics and choose where that you can get that kind of learning and for really the price point that it's at, which is really super reasonable.
Really good. So I'm looking through my documentation here, and so keynote speaker.
Yeah.
Who will we have at the summit?
John Paul Kroom. John Paul Kroom. He's the president of North Fulton in Georgia, Wellstar North Fulton in Georgia. He's a GSA winner. He's a Governor Sterling Award. I mean, not a Governor Sterling Award. I'm sorry, I've misspoken. That's what happens when you've been around as long as I have. We really got. Right. And so he's they're an Oglethorpe Award in Georgia. He's been extraordinarily invested in the Sterling process. He has a lot of insights for someone at his level. To be a president of a hospital, has a lot of insights with the number of people that he has to that he has that are under his charge, the number of customers that he has that come in such an important service that gets provided to communities, hospital, acute care, acute care system. I think that to get those kind of insights from somebody at, a principal at that level is amazing. I mean, you're not going to get those opportunities. You don't always get those kinds of opportunities to speak to people at that level or hear from those people and be able to engage. And so I'm excited. I know John Paul for a good amount of time now. And he's always extraordinarily insightful about how he's implemented the process in his organization and the challenges that they've had and how they've overcome them and what those best practices are that he brings. So I think it's an exciting opportunity. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it speaking.
Yeah, and I think it's great because John Paul Kroom is also a friend of Visionary Voices podcast. I actually talked with him back in June about high reliability in healthcare. That was his subject. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing his keynote at the end of the month.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
There you go. So I don't know if we've talked about the venue. So where is the South Florida Summit going to be held?
Well, South Florida Summit for the last couple of years has been held down at Zoo Miami, which is one of the premier zoos in the world. Actually, it's not even like it's some run of the mill. It's at one of the premier zoos on the planet. and it's hosted by Miami-Dade Parks and Open Spaces. Maria Nardi and her team down there who are also they're two-time Governor Sterling, which is also you get those folks that continue to give. They one of the things that I talk about as chairman is how do you take the criteria somewhere where it's never been? How do you introduce it to folks that it's never been introduced to, right? Because it's probably one of the great ideas. And I might talk about that a little bit later, but it's so having folks that'll do that. So the zoo is fantastic. It's paddock based, if I remember correctly, right? I'm not an expert in zoos, but the days of having animals in cages has really kind of gone the way of the dodo, no pun intended. And so they're in habitat friendly as paddocks that you can see the animals kind of in as much of the natural environment as you can possibly see. They do a fantastic job. They Maria Nardi and her team, they do a fantastic job of hosting the event. They do it, kind of soup to nuts for us on the Sterling Council, and we're really super appreciative of that. They have never failed to disappoint with regards to that. So the venue's fantastic. To be able to do that, there's always some animal or animals that they introduce,
right,
which is really kind of cool. Where they go and they have this kind of one section of our agenda is always that zoo, the folks that work in the zoo with the animals always bring out an animal to showcase and folks and get to learn about it. And so that's kind of cool. With regards to that, also when you go down there, which is also another cool thing, is that for the past couple of years, and I'm sure it'll be this year, they let you roam around the zoo while you're down at not that we're advocating that you should not
blow
go
off
to the top and and go wander around the zoo, but there are opportunities like when you go to lunch, you can get into the zoo and you can walk around, you can do that kind of stuff, and at the end of the day, you'll still have an opportunity while the zoo is open to be able to go into the zoo and be able to see that stuff. So it's an exciting opportunity that not only is it the learning is fantastic and the speakers are great and everybody's getting all kinds of new ideas and networking and everything else, but you also get to go to a destination kind of place. I mean, folks go to the zoo all the time, and it's to be able to do that and couple that along with the conference is fantastic.
Yeah. I have to agree with you. The venue is really amazing. They have a really nice conference facility there attached to the zoo, and like you said, they really know how to host an event. So I'm looking forward to attending this year and seeing what animal may be on demonstration during
during
that
I don't remember what it was last year. I got to tell you, I know one year it was I know one year they brought in some iguanas. It was not that in South Florida we lack what we want for iguanas. We have lots of them in South Florida. I have plenty of them in my backyard, and but they do a really great job showcasing that, and the staff is fantastic. They always take care of business with regards to the conference, and I really appreciate
it. That's wonderful. Yeah. I actually have an opportunity to present a workshop at this year's summit. Mine's going to be more on taking that first step in your improvement journey and going into the actual organizational profile. So I'm looking forward to that subject. Usually I just go, hey, here's Sterling. So I'm looking forward to something that we can actually write things down. So that'll be fun.
Well, it'd be great, Bob. I mean, you're such an expert in the criteria, and you've been around. You've been around just as long as kind of I have. I think we met a long time ago. So, So that, that's always great. It's because of speakers like you that make it so successful. I'll have I have to say that it's amazing. You're one of the, you're probably one of the better speakers that I've heard over the years. Everybody's great, but when you've got a standard that's as high as ours, people that stand out even above that, that's you. So I invite everybody to come see Bob, and he'll talk to you about the organizational profile and how do you begin to decipher this the criteria that's in some cases it's difficult to understand, but it's folks like Bob that make it that make it understandable and make people able to use it and improve it. So that's great stuff. I'll be there. I'll be in the back of the room. I'll raise my hand, ask me.
There you go. There you go. Well, I absolutely look forward to coming down to South Florida for the summit. Let me ask you, any last observations, perspectives on the summit that you'd like to share?
Let's see. I think that I alluded to this a little bit earlier, and I kind of spoke at this at another conference. There are some, when we talk about the Sterling criteria and the Baldrige criteria, right? What we're focusing on, and you really think about ideas that have shaped the world, right? And you think back, we're as humans, we're not really any smarter than we were 200,000 years. Right. The brains haven't evolved any differently. Our problem solving still, we kind of do those things in the same way. And the fact that we're not any smarter than 200,000 years ago is evidenced by the fact that it took us 5,000 years to put wheels on the luggage. But and so when you think about ideas, like in talking about the wheel and thinking about ideas and how that kind of revolutionized the world, right? You think about, hundreds of people that used to do it. And that, someone invented the wheel and that changed the way that work was done. And you start thinking about ideas like that shaped the world. You look at, the Gutenberg press and how information was disseminated in the world and how, before that, people were just sitting in dark rooms kind of doing absolutely clerical work. Clerics were writing books. And changing that, and the Gutenberg press comes along and changes the way that we transfer information, and that's a big idea. But the one that and when you look at the world around us, and we see that in the early 1500s, we look at the scientific method arrives on the scene, right? Sir Francis Bacon, and the scientific method arrives on the scene, and it's such a fantastic idea that in the 500 years since, it's created everything that we see around us. Our that scientific method makes this podcast possible with what, how powerful an idea that is. The Baldrige criteria, the Sterling criteria for performance excellence is on that level. When you think about organizations and you think about the multiple moving parts that organizations have, and how difficult it is to put one together, how to organize it, how to plan for it, how to control it, how to lead it. And you think about how difficult that is and how those moving parts, the criteria it gives you that framework to be able to do that. It's such a powerful idea with regards to it. It's perfectly right. I mean, to the point that if you look at the New York Times bestseller list at any given moment, at any given time, and you look at that New York Times bestseller list, and you look at the list of business books that are out there. All of those books, if you take stock of them, all of those books, each one of them is written on one of the seven criteria, right? And one of the 7 patterns. Every one. And so, whether it's this year, it's about leadership, or it's, about emotional intelligence, or it's about, business metrics, or what gets measured gets done, and how to do process, or whatever. It's those 7 marbles. That's what makes that criteria so powerful. The criteria And so that idea, for organizations that are looking for how to improve themselves, and organizations that are trying to be more, try to achieve the goals that they want to achieve and be more than what they are today, and be better. There's nothing better than so. And so opportunities like the South Florida Summit give organizations an opportunity to be able to introduce themselves to the criteria, understand what it's about, and maybe even adopt and put it into their organization, because everybody needs a plan, everybody needs to follow a process, everybody needs to structure their organizations in some way. And so this is the best idea. It's on those level of the. So that's that's kind of what I think about that. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm a member of the pure faith, so I've used it for I've used it for the better part of 25 years, and I still think that it's the best process to move your organization.
Excellent. Well, I got to tell you, Roland, I really enjoyed our discussion today, and to get in your perspective on the South Florida Summit. I personally am certainly looking forward to attending the summit on January 23rd. And I want to thank you for helping share this event to our audience. Again, you can find out more information about the summit at thesterlingcouncil.org, and it's under the Conferences and Event tab, pull down. Roland, thank you again for joining us today to discuss this. I am looking forward to seeing you down there and seeing what I can learn during that one-day summit down there. It's really been a pleasure talking with you today. And
yeah, my pleasure.
All righty.
It's been
fantastic,
very good, Bob. I look forward to seeing you. We don't get to see each other that often, and once or twice a year that we get to see each other. And well, you're one of my favorite people. So so I look forward to that, and I always learn something. There's no question about it. For those who are listening out there, definitely come and go to Bob's session. It's fantastic. And go to the other ones too.
Yeah. Go to them all. Right.
Go to them all.
I appreciate it, Roland. I will slip you that $20 bill that I promised you at the beginning of the show.
You're welcome. Okay, good.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank all of you for joining us here at Sterling Visionary Voices. To hear other episodes, just go to sterlingvisionaryvoices.com. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Sterling Visionary Voices, Insights for Role Model Leadership from the Sterling Council. Discover more and connect with us at sterlingvisionaryvoices.com.